Welcome to the third season of the Ashlars podcast. We are thrilled about our progress and, more importantly, grateful for your support and encouragement. We are going in strong with ever more energy and passion into the third season of our humble little initiative. That is, to show the true light of Freemasonry by being India's first and only podcast on Freemasonry. In this season, we continue to highlight papers by Indian Masons and showcase the wealth of Masonic knowledge and wisdom in India. Additionally, we will also shine some light on various other degrees beyond the craft, with a view to help Masons discover the true joy of being a Mason and expand their horizons. As a disclaimer, the thoughts and opinions expressed here are solely of the participants and do not represent any official positions, including those of any Grand Lords or constituents thereof. Best efforts have been made to keep the conversation on the level for brethren and non-Masons alike. Hello and welcome, folks, to another episode of the Ashlars. Now, I'm sure some of you must be wondering, where did these two vanish? Well, this was a well thought through and unnecessary little hiatus that we both went on. And, life happens, a lot of things come in between, and then we have to sometimes focus on that. But the other thing is also that rather than, rushing through and giving you something that we may not be very proud of, we'd rather take our time and give the best to you. So with that, we are back and we will be discussing the Irish Holy Royal Arch chapter. Now, for listeners who have been following us closely, you would know that we have already covered this in one of our previous episodes. Comment below if you know which episode number that is. But just to give you guys a little bit of a background. Now, we have, in this season, we have covered the craft, mark, even Royal Arch Masonry and Royal Arc Mariner degrees. But these are all from the Indian and English perspectives. However, like you always say, Masonry is an ocean. It's an ocean as deep as you would want it to go, but it is deep by itself as well. There's a lot for it to offer. And we will be discussing in this episode henceforth the Irish and Scottish side of the degrees. And that is where today's episode talks about the Irish Holy Royal Arch chapter. We have touched upon these briefly in our first season. Again, comment below if you know which episodes those are. But they should be given their due credit. And again, it's a pursuit of knowledge which should not be inhibited. If you're in Masonry, you should pursue knowledge without a doubt. No one or nothing should stop you on that front. So with that, let me hand it to Rinesh to elaborate a little more on what this is all about and what you can expect. Rinesh, over to you.
Thank you. Yes, as you mentioned, our self-imposed hiatus was on a lot of front, even some certain things with related to Freemasonry as well, which is what we had to kind of take a bit of a break, evaluate what's going on, how exactly it is. A lot of stuff had happened, some good, some bad, some sad, a lot of stuff is there. However, the reason why we obviously took that itself was we were always with the assumption, and I think this is the reason why, right? I think I vehemently was talking about it right in the beginning. The idea why we have a video now is to actually emphasize on that education, emphasize on that knowledge, which cannot and should not be stopped. Nobody has the right to stop it, and nobody should stop it. And if somebody is stopping it, we need to fight for it. And that's the reason why I think, Shishir, you and I, when we were discussing, why don't we start YouTube video? I said, like, the timing would not have been perfect. Right from the beginning, I think season 3rd, right?
Yeah.
As you mentioned, our idea was to talk about the various orders.
Correct.
Why? Now, I remember I was talking to one of our listeners and he was asking me, what are you going to do next? I said, we are going to talk about Irish Royal Arch Masonry. And by the way, just for all our listeners, this is not it. And I'm pretty sure Shishir will do his magic in making sure that this episode is actually there for us. We'll get to listen to it, bits and pieces of it, as well as the entire episode, which we might be doing in one sitting. He's definitely going to give it 2 to 3 episodes for us. The reason is, It needs its time. We
Yes.
cannot be just bombarding that information. And that is why education, bachelor's education is also 4 years and not a year crunch course, right? Same thing goes for this as well. We would like to obviously give that. But however, coming back to one of our listener, he was like, "Oh, Irish, it's all not for me." I'm like, I just asked him casually, why not? He's like, no, because I'm not part of it. I said, yeah, but does it stop you from listening? And then he stopped. He kind of stopped to think, yeah, no harm in reading about it, right? I said, see, if it is not your favorite author, you don't read a book. But if it is your favorite topic, no authors are enough.
Then
You
the
will
author doesn't matter.
and then the author also doesn't matter. Then the number of authors doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I remember I have operational research book in my bag. Like I might have like 3 to 4 of them, and there are pointers in one, there are pointers in the other. It's like, okay, this one makes sense, this doesn't make sense. Why is it? And this. So you kind of pick and choose. And why do you do that? Because it's the craving, it's the fun element of learning these things. And that's when I'm assuming my listener is actually going to be happy with this episode. But again, one more caveat for all our listeners. I think Shishir, you will also add this. Um, we are doing it in a sitting. Shishir will work on his magic, but we have also reached out to certain other experts. Some of that information have come to us. Some of this information is going to come to us later. As I said, life is there for everybody. We might come back and talk about this episode once again if we get some more information. And
Yep.
that, I think, is there for anything and everything which we are going to talk in Ashlars. And why do we do that? As you can see, the logo behind Shishir and me, right? There are 3 of them and there are multiple pieces inside each of them. That's what Freemasonry is all about. It's not going to be just one square block. It might have multiple square blocks in it, which
Very
will
well
allow
put.
you to know.
I'll just add
Sorry?
to I'll just add to what you just said. Okay. Uh, it's also about having a well-rounded knowledge about something. You know,
Yes.
I'll go back to that movie Three Idiots, where I think Amir Khan's character, he's sitting in a class which is not his.
His
What
class,
is
yeah.
it? Yeah, and then he says something to the point that knowledge is being shared everywhere. You just go and get it. You know.
Yeah, wear a uniform and go and get it, right?
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah,
exactly. Just go
whatever
and
is
get it.
possible.
I mean, obviously he is overgeneralizing, but I think the basic crux is this: that if you're
Yeah,
curious about something, you should not wonder whether this is should I get this or not. I don't think that should be a question. How can I get it? From where can I
how
get
can
it? Who can give it
I?
to me? I think those should be the pertinent questions, because knowledge can only enrich you. It is
That's
it is a drug. It is the only drug that will give you a good high, but will not ruin you.
That's true. That's true. So anyway, Shishir, coming back to our point, right? Holy Royal Arch. And as Shishir mentioned, we have obviously spoken about this before as well. But what we spoke about was not exactly the degree per se. What we spoke about is where are these Holy Royal Arch degree of Irish in India. So we obviously spoke about the one which is there in some actually which are there in Mumbai, one which is there in Chennai, one I think is in Kerala. So these are some of the places where they are there, but that's it. And everybody will be like, oh, it's not in Allahabad, so why should I even worry about? Or why is it not there in Northeast? But as I said, that's then the best part is listen to us. You get to know about the degree work a little, you get to know about what the story is, and if you want to pursue, go for it. Whatever you should not be stopped in that sense. Now the point what we are trying to do is Holy Royal Arch, and I think Shishir you will be able to add, I think, because it's as per our system as well, you are the one who have to talk about that one, is where exactly does this Royal Arch comes from. And this one will tie to whatever we have been talking about. And as Shishir said, that we have spoken about this from the English and Indian perspective, because we kind of got that information from there. But then what is so different in Irish? But before that difference in Irish, which I'll cover, Shishir will actually give you the first point, which is standard no matter whether it's English, Indian, Irish, or Scottish, at least for the Freemason in India. Shishir.
Got it. All right. So the Royal Arch degree, it is a continuation of the story of the temple, which we have actually covered in the craft. Uh, this is also covered in our episode 10 and 11 of this season, by the way. That is from the Indian and English side. This degree is conferred in the Royal Arch chapters, and any master mason who has been a master mason for at least 1 year and is of good standing, they are entitled to become a Royal Arch mason. While this Royal Arts Masonry has its own governing body. It has been long regarded as an integral and even essential part of a Freemason's journey. Now, why that is the case? For that, Dinesh, over to you.
Yeah, exactly. So we have heard of the story of craft, right? It starts, it builds, or rather, it starts. It's just there, and many people who actually understand it, at one point of time, craft Freemasonry had only two degrees. It was entered apprentice and fellow craft. So that's it. And after that, you become the master of the lodge, which is basically the main stuff. It was after some time when they added that element from the story of Hiram Abiy, the story of the three grandmasters, how they built this. The Solomon's temple was always there, but how the building and what all had to be added. Now, why was that added? Obviously, to add that element or the moral values, which are very interesting. I just give a very general word for moral values, but you can add multiple adjectives to these values and just showcase that one. Now, at this point, they kind of understood that your journey cannot stop you. Now, something was not there, something is there. What exactly happened? And in and especially whoever has gone through this degree, right? Master Mason's degree, they'll suddenly realize that, oh wow, something is amiss, right? Something has been just stopped right in the beginning. So right at this place, what exactly went wrong? What exactly is not there? And that is where I feel Royal Arch kind of helps you in understanding. And that is exactly what the best part is in all the three constitutions which are there in India, including also India as well. English, Scottish, and Irish will ensure and emphasize that Holy Royal Arch degree kind of helps you in understanding and kind of brings that closure to the questions which you have. Now, interesting with regards to Irish. Now, again, Scottish and Irish will always have that kind of a difference in this. But the earliest evidence concerning the Royal Arch, which as per Irish sources were, always used to be with Irish. They used to say that we were the first one who used to actually have this degree right at the earliest time. Scottish, however, has a claim that there is something called Stirling Royal Arch chapter, which has been doing the working from 1743. Now, Irish Masonry, or rather scholars and researchers will say, no, there is little evidence to support that claim. But irrespective, today, 2025, we are still enjoying both the degree work. So absolutely fine. So the Grand Lodge of Scotland did not actually organize the Royal Arch. They did not officially did the Royal Arch degree at one point. And the Supreme Grand Royal Arch chapter was formed mainly by companions who had received their degree in bodies warranted by an early grand encampment of Ireland. So somewhere there is a bit of a connection which in today's day doesn't really matter. But obviously for scholars and researchers who are trying to understand the timeline, the chronology, which obviously, by the way, also is important. But that's a story which is there for certain folks, not for everybody. Like where exactly does it start? Where does it end? So that's where it kind of starts. Irrespective of what it is, Scottish and Irish both claim that their chapter has been there, and that actually proves one very important point. Forget who owns it. The point that it was thought by people back in the 1740s and 30s of having a degree which actually gives, I always used to call it the oomph factor in masonry.
So I'll just add one thing here that, in England, the position is kind of different, as the
Yeah.
craft and Holy Royal Arts are very closely associated. However, pure ancient masonry consists of 3 degrees and no more,
Mm.
namely the entered apprentice, which is the first degree, fellow craft, the second degree, and master mason, which is the third degree. However, master mason, including the supreme order of the Holy Royal Arch.
Mhm. Exactly. So that is one more interesting part which I used to always find it very what should I say? Not exactly funny, but more of like a conundrum. Uh, I think in UGLE's book of Constitution, it was actually mentioned that the the Freemasonry has only 3 degrees: entered apprentice, fellow craft, and master mason, including the Holy Royal Arch. So, as a student of Freemasonry in my first couple of years, right, I used to kind of wonder, okay, if it is including Holy Royal Arch, is it the fourth degree? Or is it a 3 point A or 3.1? What exactly does it mean? That is something which I was never able to understand. But then I realized there is a reason why they actually write it in this manner, or at least this is my assumption. putting a number, giving a number to it, right? Kind of, what should I say? It just right now gives you that chronology of saying, oh, this is the first, this is the second, that is the last, which might be there, not denying, but the moment you try doing that, it kind of just waters it down to say, oh, you're the fourth. That's okay. Like, like the way our kids, our parents used to sometimes come up and say, oh, did you get first rank? Oh, no, you did not. Oh, okay, fair enough. Right. So this ranking system has actually screwed up a lot of stuff. But anyway, irrespective of what it is, today I
I'll
feel,
I'll just
yeah,
add one thing. I'll just add one thing to this rank and degree number business. I just want to be very clear with everyone. See, when it comes to masonry, the foundation, and never forget this: the foundation is always the first 3 degrees of
that's
craft.
right.
If that foundation does not exist, it does not matter what kind of skyscraper or palace you build, it will fall down. All right. Without having the strong foundation, you can't really think of any of these side degrees. So that is the basic prerequisite. So anyone who, especially among masons, who is thinking that, oh, degree number is extremely important, no, no, sir. Degree number is
True.
not
That's it.
important. What degree you're into. That's all, folks. We sincerely hope that you liked our episode and got a glimpse into the fascinating world of Freemasonry. If you have any queries about what we have shared on the podcast or about Freemasonry in general, please check out the show notes for links to the Grand Lodge of India's website, or write us an email, which is the Ashlars podcast at gmail.com.